So let's talk about Croc.
Yeah.
Hit patient session 2. Patient name Waylon Jones, a.k.a. Killer Croc.
So, is this the part where you try and reason with me? Find out why I did it, Doc.
We're here to help you, Mr. Jones.
You got a cure for me then, Doc? Can you make me normal?
Normal is a poor choice of words. No one's really normal, are they?
Figured as much. So, how about this, Doc? You let me go now, and I won't eat you.
You don't really eat people. It's just an urban myth.
Oh, you think? Keep believing that, Doc.
So Waylon Jones.
Waylon! So the thing that you want to remember if you're a fan of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which have the lizard in them, is that Killer Croc and the lizard are different.
Despite how much they may look the same.
Exactly. So Waylon Jones, unlike Dr. Kurt Connors, was born this way. He's on the right track, baby. He was born this way.
Oh, God.
He has a condition that makes him look like a croc.
It's had a bunch of different names over the last couple years, which has annoyed me to no end.
Yeah, I mean, recently there's been some plot lines.
Looks like the Blackgate thugs have access to the armory.
So yeah, so now this open area has become more difficult. So while Charlie does this, we'll talk about Croc a little bit more.
We're just gonna stop for another second.
Joker remains unfortunate.
So the great detective has solved a mere 10%.
Oh,
of
shut up,
the
Riddler. We want to listen to the tape.
Ready to give up yet?
I want to listen to the tape.
We're gonna go back to Croc now.
Okay. So yeah, there's been some storylines where Croc is trying to cure himself because it's interesting that you say that you like Croc because I've just generally found that Croc, sort of similar to Bane actually, which is why it's funny that they have a rivalry. Because before Nightfall, whoop, that guy has a knife. Croc was sort of the big meathead that Batman got to go up against. And as I said, Kurt Connors fights it. He tries to fight his nature because it's new to him, and he's just become a lizard, a Florida-themed lizard. Did you guys know that about Spider-Man? He's a Florida-themed villain.
Anyways.
So Croc is sort of, the Phantom of the Opera situation. He was treated badly. He was told he was a monster, and he became one. So recently, we've had a couple plot lines where Croc tries to cure himself. It always fails, and he always ends up worse and or killing the doctors. Usually killing the doctors. Lots of female doctors dying. But yeah, the thing to remember about Croc is that he can be conceived as sort of Louisiana-based Croc, alligator. And there was a storyline where he decided to go on a vision quest to Louisiana to find his Crocness. But Charlie, you should talk about why you like Waylon, because I worry that he's a bit of a one-trick pony. What do you like about him?
He is a one-trick, and that's what I like about him. Okay, so some of my favorite villainous characters out there are ones like Venom or Carnage, where you know what you're getting with them. They're not smart, they just happen to be very powerful characters. And for better or worse, in the realm of Batman villains, you have two types of characters: the thug characters and the crazy characters. And I love the crazy characters, but he actually doesn't have that many good thug characters. He has Solomon Grundy, who unfortunately is too powerful, if that makes sense, and a little bit too stupid. He really is an evil Hulk character, where when written well, he's quite interesting. He's had some interesting parts through time, but he's inconsistent. Croc is always this some hulking monstrosity of a guy whose strength ranges from throwing cars to ripping cars in half. He's always the Hulk, for lack of a better phrase, and he's not a supernatural being. He's not some resurrected zombie. He's not some experimentation with experimental growth hormones or drugs like Bane is. He's just this pissed off guy who, as you mentioned, has the Phantom of the Opera syndrome, and arguably, unlike Bruce Wayne, has a lot of reasons to really be angry at the end of the day. I feel bad for him in the weirdest way possible. That makes any sense. And it's this. I've read some stories where he's much more crocodile-fied. If that makes, he looks like a giant. He really has the crocodile.
No,
head.
and that's definitely how they conceive of him within this game.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing about Waylon is that he's, he's kind of the Elephant Man. He's inevitably going to look that way. And his approach to it, instead of being, upset about it openly, is to hurt a bunch of people because he's a crocodile, so why wouldn't he?
Well, and also say this. I love stories of people that are told they're monsters, or told they're monsters, or told they're monsters, and eventually just have this horrible moment of essentially, fuck it. If you're going to insist I'm a monster, I'll become the monster you keep insisting I am. And in Croc's defense, people have been insisting he's quite one hell of a monster for a long time. And when he finally gives into it, he really does become the monster a lot of these people deserve to get wrecked by. And I enjoy the fact that unlike Solomon Grundy, unlike some other hulking Batman characters, he is smart. He has a brain attached to all the brute strength he has. And it's interesting, as I said, when he's written well. Like, he's not a criminal mastermind, but he's smart enough to know things like I shouldn't get shot too often. Something I'm not doing so well right now myself.
I was going to say, we're having some sniper issues, guys. Please hold. Yeah, I can see that. I think it also is really interesting to remember that there is sort of Bane and Croc are foils for each other.
Yeah.
They have been in conflict pretty much since Bane was invented. And it's interesting to think that the thing. Oop, look, these guys are snipers. Ha ha! Choke a guy out, Batman.
Snipers go down easy.
Nailed it.
Oh, so a little thing you guys can keep track of as you play the game, or as I play the game, I mean, you'll notice that Joker's thugs actually get more and more Joker-fied as the game goes on. They go from having no face paint to actually having quite a bit of face paint by the end. It's a neat little touch.
Haha, Batman knocked that on his head.
That happens. It shows a nice progression of time in my book.
Well, yeah, I think one of the things that these games do really well is the progression of time. And it is funny because... Wait, you have a cousin in Metropolis that's a criminal? What? Bullshit. Superman wouldn't let that happen.
There's no criminals in Metropolis, except Lex Luthor.
Yup. There's white-collar crime in Metropolis.
Can you imagine what Batman would be like in a city where there was nothing but white-collar crime?
He would be really confused because he'd be like, you're just like me.
Anyways, on to more intelligent topics.
So let's see. So we talked about Croc, and I think that the sort of dangerous thing about Croc is that you can end up repeating yourself very quickly.
And it's, for better or worse, Croc is a character that you can mess with exactly how crocodile he is and how human he is, and no one complains because he's Croc. Like, what is his superpower? Literally, it's leathery, deformed skin and some iteration of super strength.
Well, and you have to remember that I think in his first appearance, he's actually in a trench coat. He's like a shadowy dude in a trench coat. And the reveal is his, like, creepy reptilianness.
Absolutely.
Oh no, Batman, it's a door and it's locked. What are you going to do, Batman? So that's Croc. To talk about Venom a little bit, because
It is important.
As we move through this series, I feel like I'm accidentally talking about Spider-Man a bunch because we're talking about Venom. Oh, look. So Venom was developed by Dr. Hugo Strange, who is another sort of noted Arkham employee, eventually. No spoilers as to his location within this game or any following games. But he is sort of a noted... Oh, we have a stone!
My journey lasted little over a month. Visiting academics in both Metropolis and Keystone, I was exposed to a wealth of new ideas. I began my day returning home in good spirits, eager to see my wife and...
Joker here with a little update for you all. First, the good news. We have Dr. Young. Bad news, she's not talking. She's hidden a document somewhere in the mansion. I want it found. I got a plan.
Oh, do we want to finish that Arkham tape?
Or we
In
do
the
not.
meantime, search every cook and granny. There's a prize for whoever finds them.
I need to find those notes before Joker does.
Alright, so to summarize the rest of the Arkham note things, maybe we'll play them, maybe we won't, I'm not sure yet. It is the story we told you earlier of the original founder of Arkham. His wife is ultimately killed by a guy named Mad Dog and stuff like that. It's...
I cannot recommend the Grant Morrison Arkham Asylum Serious House and Serious Earth enough. In fact, you can get a trade paperback of it with the script in it, and if you've never read a comic script before, it is a effing trip. It is...
Especially for that one that is an effing trip.
Yeah, no, I mean, Grant Morrison, I cannot clarify how crazy that man is. You know, he's a genius sometimes, most of the time.
Except when he's not. and then it's
Except when
bad.
he's not, and then it's very scary. But he is creating some pretty psychedelic stuff in that, and the whole thing is based on, you know, tarot cards and all kinds of weirdness. But that's the thing about the Arkham Asylum book, is that it does have many levels. And if you read the script and you watch Grant Morrison sort of talk to his artists, you get to see the particular kind of crazy that you usually get from a Grant Morrison comic. It's sort of like reading a Quentin Tarantino screenplay if you ever get the
To
chance.
back up one step, it also really did the first really good job of cementing this idea of Batman as a nightmarish figure for most of his villains. Batman in the book is never actually really fully visible, if that makes any sense. He's kind of this weird, shadowy gargoyle of sorts that was made famous. Like, the scene in the first Bat movie by Nolan where everyone's tripping on the fear gas and Scarecrow sees the version of Batman that Scarecrow sees, that's him through the entire book, essentially.
Well, and it's interesting because it's partly about how it's about how Joker and Bats are kind of their own, the same kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is there's a great sequence in the beginning where right after we thought the Joker would kill somebody and he didn't.
I think we talked about this earlier.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that particular Joker, the Arkham Asylum Joker, his writing, his lettering itself within the comic is almost difficult to read. It's in this sort of it's
a bad color on a bad background intentionally. It's brilliant in that.
yeah,
regard.
and that's the thing, is he's sort of incomprehensible, and I think that's what I mean in some ways about Joker being the kind of guy that is sort of you can't diagnose him. And honestly, in some ways, that's how I try and justify Harley's madness, is that
Exposure to madness makes you crazy.
exposure to madness makes you crazy. And, you know, she thought she was going to be the brilliant girl who figured out Joker. And nobody can do that. Oh, so these things are funny, these little question marks. You basically have to, like, line up the dot wherever you are. So you have to stand in a way that the dot appears. So it's just tricky because you'd have to, you have to stand on that grate, or you have to stand in any number of places. As you get further and further in the series of the game, it becomes really irritating.
And we will not be doing all of them because I do not hate myself that much.
Oh wait, I see the dot! It's at your feet! Do you see the dot, friends? It is at Batman's feet. So if we step back, perhaps we can make the dot show. Do you see the dot? I see the dot.
I do see the dot.
So close. Do you see why this is bullshit? And I don't consider this spoilery about Arkham City, but there we go.
Below my predicted expectations. At this rate, you'll never beat me.
Those get to be kind of fun in Arkham City because you have multiple levels of buildings to play with. Can I say I also really appreciate how Batman makes adorable little bat signals with his explosive gel?
It does not seem to be an efficient use of bat gel, though.
I returned to my work, but I could not shake the pictures from my mind. I should have been repulsed, but I was more eager than ever to find an explanation for why someone was doing this.
So he's talking about Mad Dog there. This is pretty much whole cloth borrowed. Oh, that guy has a gun. Borrowed from Arkham Asylum, Serious House, and Serious Earth. You should glide kick him. Glide kick him. Bam! Nailed it. Oh, Batman, that was an excessive use of flips. But I appreciate your style. So talking about Venom. Everybody's looking. Venom is basically increased. A traumatic event?
Talk while I break face.
Oh, Joker. So the whole idea of Venom is that it increases your strength, stamina, reaction time, all of that stuff. It's basically steroids.
It's super steroids,
Yeah.
in fact.
And the reason that Bane started out, that Bane was given it, was that he was, while he was being V in the prison that he was in, he was considered to be the strongest of all the inmates. So Hugo Strange had basically been paying the warden to let him test his drug. And everybody was dying. Batman really likes that move.
Now, stroll downstairs and save the helpless hostages. Right.
Oh, Joker,
So
I
Bane
don't
in
trust
prison.
you. So Hugo Strange creates Venom, and the only thing that really works, the only time it really works is on Bane. The real interesting thing about Venom is that it's conceived as a drug. Oh, that doesn't look good at all.
Oh, how frustrating. Thought it was going to be easy, didn't you? Has tonight taught you nothing? In 2 minutes, the room will fill with happiness. The audience will be in fits of ecstasy, and then die.
Go! So while we try and defeat Joker, so Venom is conceived as a drug that you can and do get addicted to.
1 minute 30 to go. Gotta say, I'm getting bored already. Maybe I should just press the button and Only joking.
So tense, you guys.
Keep talking.
Yeah. So what happens after Nightfall, which is the plot line where Batman's back gets broken, is Bane, they manage to drain the venom from Bane's system. Bane needs to get venom basically once every 12 hours, or he goes into a horrible state of withdrawal.
It is a drug after all.
Yeah. So while he is experiencing that withdrawal,
Final 60 seconds of remembering to breathe.
they experience this horrible... it's sort of embarrassing watching this guy that, for the first time, again, this guy who beat Batman, go into full-on drug addict, like, chills and impotency. It's really sad. And after that, Bane basically tries to figure out how to wean himself off the drug.
Just 30 seconds left. I hope all that running about hasn't ruined that exquisite costume of yours.
Run! Run! Disarming the bomb! It's not even a
Thank you,
bomb.
Batman. Are they all gone?
Yes, you're safe. What happened?
It all happened so fast. Some patients broke in, began tearing up the place, like they were looking for something. Bill here fought back, but there were too many. They took Dr. Young. She rushed in here and they followed. I'm sorry. When I came to, we were all tied up. Doc Young was gone.